Welcome, everybody. Let's fix that first. There we go. Thank you very much. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Thank you very much for being with us. This is our Monday night home now for the next 17 weeks, except for those rare occasions when it's not, but we won't get into that. I don't want to confuse anybody now, and I'm very easily confused, but we'll be here for you to have an opportunity to meet and get to know your favorite Dallas Cowboys all season long. Monday night we are at the Gaylord Texan, just outside Texan Station. It's a tremendous place to come watch football after our show is over. Normally, see, those of you who have come out tonight are getting a treat because you will be able to hear this show when you get in your car and go home, if you get in your car and go home right away, because tonight we are on KRLD AM in Dallas-Fort Worth at 7. But those of you listening across the Dallas Cowboys radio network, you're hearing it live. You're ahead of everyone. And what a way to start, but with the Cowboys' new star running back, first-round draft choice, Ezekiel Elliott. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Schedule worked out, day off tomorrow, so you can kick back a little, or maybe you can't. I don't know, but we very much appreciate it. Also, I do want to tell you that if there are things about the show that you hear that you want to hear again, sometime tomorrow, probably, it'll be streaming on DallasCowboys.com. Jacob Walraven is running the camera. Wave to yourself, Jacob. There's Jacob waving to himself. Nobody can see it but us here. Very good. And it'll be up all week on DallasCowboys.com. So I say all the time, those of you who've been to this program before have heard me say it, that my favorite thing about doing this is that it gives fans an opportunity to get to meet the Cowboys as human beings, as the people they really are, not just big, soldiers in a helmet and a number. That's your identity is more than that. And so this is kind of fun for people to ask you some questions and get to know not just number 21, but get to know Zeke, okay? So I never do this, but I am going to claim executive privilege and ask first a question that only I care about, okay? So Ezekiel is from St. Louis. His parents were both outstanding athletes at the University of Missouri. I went to the University of Missouri.
Oh, no.
Zeke, why did you not go to Missouri? No, why did you not go to Missouri? Was it hard to pick Ohio State? How'd you do that?
It was definitely a hard decision. Growing up a Missouri fan, going to every spring game, going to see a couple games.
Now you're really hurting my feelings.
And, just playing on that field after the spring game as a little kid growing up. And it was definitely tough, but I realized, my college decision was really a business decision. And when involving yourself in business, you have to make decisions without emotion. And in my heart, I wanted to go and be a Missouri Tiger like my dad and mom, but I knew what was best for me, what was best for my career was to go and play for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
That's a really important lesson about head and heart. Did your parents teach you that?
I think I just kind of learned it through the process. That's like probably the biggest thing I learned in my college recruitment.
Can you say any more about that, about how, you're feeling that one thing would feel good on one level, but it wasn't the smartest thing long term? That's an unusual decision for a young man in high school to be able to reach.
It was tough. I knew in high school, I played in 3 state championships. We lost all 3. And I knew going to college that I wanted to win a national championship. I knew at Ohio State with the competition that I would be competing against. I knew with Coach Meyer, I knew with the players that were going to surround me that I believed that I was going to be able to compete for a national championship. And when I went to Ohio State, I did. I played in a national championship. I knew that I was going to be challenged every day by the caliber of players that you find at a university like Ohio State. Not to say you don't find great players at University of Missouri, but
it is what it is. Your mother was a heptathlete, is that right?
She was.
And your dad played football at Missouri. So did it break his heart? A little bit? Just a little bit?
I think it did break his heart. It did, but, it wasn't too long before he was a Buckeye. So I mean,
oh no,
he definitely switched over.
I've seen all the pictures of him in the Buckeye gear. I think we all get it. So,
actually, my dad works at Ohio State now. He works in recruitment, so I think he's kind of a traitor.
You have completely swayed him, haven't you? Okay.
Yep.
How did playing for a high-profile program like that prepare you for coming here to all of this?
I think it did because, first of all, the competition. You're going to get the best recruits at Ohio State University. So it forced me to go there and compete and work and grow as a player. Because if I was going to play at that university, if I was going to start there, I was going to have to work my tail off and earn a starting position. Two, I would say just because of, Ohio State fan base really reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys fan base. They're very passionate fans. They always come out. And, I particularly remember we played at Cal University my freshman year. And that we played there. So I remember looking in the stands, and it looked like a home game. Like really, like I heard the OHIO chant in the stands, and like our fans were obviously way more loud. That we had way more fans than them, and it just kind of I haven't played at a in-season away game for the Cowboys, but I've heard we do travel well, and just the expectations at a university like Ohio State kind of reminds me of expectations here for the Dallas Cowboys. You're expected to compete for a Super Bowl every year.
Cowboy fans do travel well, but I'm going to guess that when you played at Michigan, for instance, or Wisconsin or Michigan State, you maybe didn't hear so many cheers in those places.
My junior year when we played at the team up north, I can't say that.
Yeah. You are really, holy cow, you are really indoctrinated, man. Okay, yeah.
But
that's Michigan for those of you who don't know.
We even traveled well to the team up north, I would say.
The reason I bring that up is your first road game. I don't want to get past tomorrow. Your head coach would say your job now is to have the best off day you can have. The first road game you're going to play is in a place where you're not going to hear a lot of cheers. In Washington, they are not Cowboy fans in Washington. Let me just tell you that. So you're prepared for that?
I think I'm prepared, Probably the loudest game I played at we played a night game, whiteout, at Penn State. And it was the biggest crowd in Penn State history, 110 roaring fans. Me and JT Bear, we're this close, and we still can't hear each other. You kind of feel like the ground was shaking, and it was a crazy game. We went to triple overtime, so I've definitely played in some hectic environments.
Yeah, I'm not worried about you in that regard. Now, here's another thing that Cowboy fans are going to like. In 3 years at Ohio State, how many games did you lose?
3 or 4, maybe.
Total?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 5. No, it was 5. We lost 2 my junior year. 2 my freshman year, 1 my sophomore year, and 1 so 4.
Okay. Well, so you weren't a math major. Neither was I. I have a statistician who travels with me to handle those kind of things. The point is, if you lose 4 games in 3 years, I think people will be extremely pleased with that. So, in your early impressions, you've already said that you see a similarity in the passion of the fan bases, but since the beginning of May, the end of April, from the time you walked out, we were all sitting up on that stage when you got off the private plane and the bus and came to the big house there, the big stadium, and on draft night, what's your early impressions of being a Dallas Cowboy?
All eyes are on you. This is probably the biggest sports club in the world, and everyone's watching your every move, every single thing you do, and you have to handle yourself that way.
So what prepares you for that? I understand that you scrutiny at Ohio State, but that's a lot. And that's whether it's probably double for you, and Dak is probably figuring that out right now, but it's true of whoever the 53rd man is. If you're a Dallas Cowboy, they're watching you. What prepares you for that?
I thought coming in this that I was going to be prepared, just coming from Ohio State, but I realized quickly that I wasn't. So I think, honestly, the only thing that can really prepare you for that. Just going through it, experiencing it, and seeing others experience it, and just with time, you'll realize. You know what I mean?
How hard was it to? I'm trying to ask you a question that can get a short answer because we're coming up on our first break. How hard was it to have to work with the trainers for 2 or 3 weeks there and not play in those first couple of preseason games?
That was tough. It was very tough not being out there and not being able to go out there and compete, not being able to go out there and play. And with me trying to learn this offense, becoming comfortable with this offense, I kind of, for a little bit, kind of felt like I was kind of, I guess, falling behind. But I think I did a great job just sitting back, getting my mental reps, doing whatever I can, and paying attention and studying the playbook to make sure that I was all caught up when I got back. And now, I'm ready to roll. You
feel because if you felt behind in Seattle, it was not evident, even though it was a preseason game. You looked like you were pretty ready.
Yeah, I was ready. Well, I got a lot of veteran guys around me to help me out and show me the way and help me with that playbook. So, they made it a lot easier for me.
And I just got to say, that didn't feel like a normal preseason game because they're pretty proud and their fans are too. But were you hearing a little conversation from some of those big, that Legion of Boom, those big secondary guys from Seattle?
That they're a very chippy defense. They like to try to get in their opponent's head, and so there was a little bit of that. But I was ready for all that.
You brought some with you, didn't you? Yeah. I had the feeling you did. Well, we're delighted to have Ezekiel Elliott with us, the Cowboys running back, on our first Cowboys Hour of the season. We are at the Gaylord Texan, and we are just thrilled to have you with us. Normally, I would say if you're within the sound of my voice in Dallas-Fort Worth, come out and join us. But by the time you hear this, we'll be done. So don't do that. Save that for next week. And we also want to remind you that the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour is brought to you in part by our very good friends at Albertsons, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. We're back with Ezekiel Elliott when the Cowboys Hour continues.
Shift up and down. Here's Brad Shand.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Gaylord Texan, to Texan Station. It's our first Cowboys Hour of the season every Monday night, 6 o'clock. And Ezekiel Elliott, the Cowboys running back, is our guest to start. This is our little holiday gift to you, a chance to get to meet Zeke for the first show of the season. And we look forward to you being with us all year long. So, and by the way, those of you who are here, if you have a question you would like to ask Ezekiel, at the next break, hold your hand up, and Larry, where's Larry? There's Larry. Larry's going to have a microphone. He's going to come to you so you can ask your question on the air. So if you got a question, we want to hear from you. Okay, so Zeke, take us back to the draft process and draft day. So much conversation about, where a running back should go, where you would go, all that. What was the preparation like first, the draft process leading up to draft day?
Draft process was very hectic. First of all, you're living out of a suitcase for about from after college till draft night when you leave and you go to your city.
Now, people don't understand that. Tell them why.
Well, you're living on a suitcase because you're in transition between college and getting ready for the combine, and then you have to go on visits and visit all these teams. Some guys, I have friends that visit, I think they made as many as 15 visits. So it's very hectic. You don't have. I didn't feel like I had a home. I felt like I was just all over the place. So I was training in Miami, and then every weekend I'm traveling, going to do different things for marketing and going to the Super Bowl and doing media and just going to the ESPYs, and so there's just a lot.
Poor baby. Yeah, that sounds like a tough life. But it is, though. It's hectic. And then at some point you got to focus on, like you said, the combine, right? You got to focus on getting ready, football-related stuff. And what was the What was the nerve-wracking level of the draft week like? You get to Chicago, and take us through that.
Well, I wouldn't say I was too nervous for the draft during the week, but that day, that night, sitting in that green room was crazy. And just kind of waiting. Well, I knew the whole time that I wanted to come here. This is where I wanted to be.
Why?
I wanted to come play behind the best O-line in America.
Okay, pretty good. Shows he's a smart running back, among other things. Did you have a sense of what their interest was, of who else might be looking at you, where you might wind up?
Well, I knew there was a couple places I could have ended up. I knew that the Cowboys they obviously had interest in me. And then you had at pick 8, you had the Browns. And I knew, I was pretty sure if I got to pick 8 that the Browns were definitely going to pick me, coming from Ohio, and them just, they needed a lot of just playmakers in the draft. And, I knew Miami was interested after losing Lamar Miller, and I'm trying to think of some other teams. I don't really remember. That was a long time ago.
No, it was. But and I'm gonna deviate for just a second, because something that people sometimes find surprising is not every football player is a football fan. You got guys in your locker room who just they love to play. They don't really like to watch. They don't know much about the history of the game. So where are you on the football fan level? Are you a football fan? It's
no.
okay to say no. It's okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I think I hate watching football. I really don't like watching football unless I'm watching like some of my boys play or something. Because when I see myself watching football, I see myself being like too analytical, like I'm watching film or something, and like feels like too much like work.
Yeah, so you can't just enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And how about players? Did you have favorite players when you were in high school or teams? I mean, were you a Rams fan growing up in St. Louis?
So I'm from St. Louis, so obviously my team was St. Louis. I grew up during the greatest show on turf. You know, all those guys, Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, you know, all these great players. But my favorite player was obviously Marshall Faulk. And I kind of, as a young kid, I tried to mimic his game. I wanted to become a complete player like him, and that's something that was very important to me, something I worked at very hard, especially when I got to college, just kind of developing myself as a all-around great running back, a guy that is going to be good running the ball, no matter if it's inside, outside, or, you know, pass protection, or catching the ball at the backfield.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when I think of Marshall as a player, he was initially a great running back. I thought he became one of the greatest receiving backs ever. When I watch you in practice, I see someone who has a flair, a natural instinct for the fine points of the passing game, from picking up a blitz, but especially running routes and handling the ball. I think I saw that in college you had 3 receiving touchdowns. I mean, you
might not even have that many.
Okay.
I think I might have just had 1.
So is Marshall Faulk the influence for you about the passing part of what's now your job, the receiving part, route running, all that stuff?
He is. He's an inspiration for my game. And, you know, I used to always give Coach Meyer a hard time at Ohio State about how he wouldn't use me in the pass game as much as I wanted to. So, you know, that was always a running joke that we had.
What is it about being involved in the passing game that you like?
It's just another way to get the ball. It's another way to get out in space and make plays, you know. Just kind of getting out in space and having those one-on-one matchups that I take pride in winning every chance I can.
Now, you are a physical football player. We saw that. Cam Chancellor figured that out, I think, pretty quick in Seattle. You lowered your shoulder, went into some of those guys. That's not always the greatest route to success for a running back. So here's the question. I'm going to give you 3 options. You can break a 75-yard run from scrimmage for a touchdown. You can stone a blitzing linebacker to give your quarterback the opportunity to throw a pass. Or you can catch either a screen or something in the flat and run 80 for a touchdown. Rank those in order of preference, please. 1, 2, 3.
Um, Probably one would be the 75-yard rushing touchdown. Two, stoning the blitz, picking up that blitz, and then three, that screen pass for a touchdown.
How hard did you work in college, and what have you done differently to work on the receiving aspect of the game since you came to OTAs?
I think it all started in high school. That's where I got a good foundation. Actually, in high school, my coach was Gus Farrat. If you don't know who he is, he played in the league for about 12 years, I think. So, he was a great offensive coordinator. And in high school, the way it works, if you're the best player, they just move you around everywhere and try to get you the ball. So I guess I was kind of like a guinea pig to him. He just got to go out there and call plays. And I played a lot of receiver in high school. I did wildcat quarterback. So Coach Farrat, he helped me a lot in my development as a pass catcher, as a route runner, and just kind of learning more about the receiver position.
So Gus Farrat, for those of you who don't know, was a quarterback from Tulsa, went to school at Tulsa, played 12 years in the league, as Zeke said. So that what you just said tells me one of two things. You either made sure you knew who your coach was to get on his good side, and there could be a combo platter, or you have more interest in the history of the game than you do in sitting down, putting your feet up, and watching it. Which of those is correct?
I think it was just important to me to know where he came from and what he had been through, and just kind of as that relationship between me and him evolved, I learned more and more about him, and I learned how he knew so much about the game, and I realized that he was a great asset to my career, and that if I really want to go somewhere with this and play football at the next level and continue to try to play football at the level after that it would be a good opportunity for me to sit down and learn from him and kind of just take everything I could in those 2 years when he was my head coach.
Now, was he the one that called you one speed?
Yeah. Well, no, that's my little league coach.
That's your little league coach. Tell people about that.
Well, my little league coach called me one speed just because when I was younger, I just would go so hard, and that's the only speed I knew. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing.
I wanted to ask you about, we were talking about being physical, and when you're in the open field, you've seen all the tape of yourself. When you're in the open field with a safety, would you rather run him over or make him miss?
Honestly, I'd rather make him miss. Just because, the way I play, I'm a physical running back. I try to wear defenses down early in the game. So, I'm gonna show I'm a physical aspect of my game, but what you get with these defensive backs, you run them over one or two times, you put a good lick on them, and the next time they're gonna come up a little bit passive, and they're gonna forget about their technique. They're gonna lunge at you, and that's when you're gonna be able to spin off guys. That's when you're gonna be able to make them miss easier. That's when you're gonna be able to hurdle a guy trying to shoot for your legs, because he honestly doesn't want to feel 230 coming at him all game.
Have you had anybody say to you yet that was good in the Big Ten, but that won't work in the NFL?
I've heard that, but that's my running style. That's how I play. I've been pretty durable in my career. I know you want to last in this league, but I would say I'm good at being physical, but not. I'm a physical runner, but I use great technique. I run low. I protect myself. I use my pads. It's not like I'm just out there running the guys and hurting myself. There's a reason we have shoulder pads. There's a reason we have a helmet. So you could be physical but safe at the same time.
All right. Now, this is obviously a young man who is studying his craft. It's not just a job. It's a craft. So we are delighted to have you all with us tonight. This is the Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and brought to you in part by Papa John's. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. This is our home every Monday night, 6 o'clock, and Ezekiel Elliott is helping us get the season started tonight. Back with your questions and more with Zeke when we come back on the Cowboys Radio Network. Welcome back, everybody. We are just delighted to be back on the Cowboys Hour, to be here at the Gaylord Texan, and to have as our very first guest of the season Ezekiel Elliott, the Cowboys running back. And shortly, where's Larry? There's Larry. Larry is ready. I promised I wouldn't spring questions on him, so that was your to Larry warning. If you got a question for Zeke, hands up. And Larry's going to spot you in the crowd, and he will be bringing the microphone to you. So, Ezekiel, when your mother called you Ezekiel, was she mad at you? If you hear Ezekiel, do you say, "Uh-oh, what did I do?"
No.
Okay.
I don't really get in trouble.
Oh, Zeke, you're making my job hard, Zeke. Okay. Are you a goal setter?
I wouldn't say I set specific goals. I wouldn't say I sit down and write my goals down at the beginning of every season. But I mean, honestly, I just demand excellence out of myself. And so however you would define excellence in what I'm doing, that's the only thing I expect.
When you started at Ohio State, how did you define excellence in what you were doing?
Well, first is when I got there, just as a freshman, just getting on the field any way I can, and that was on special teams. So I played behind a good running back at Ohio State.
I'd say you did, yeah. Carlos Hyde, right?
So just when I got there, just kind of learning as much as I can from him and taking parts of his game and adding it to mine, but just doing whatever I can to make the team better. And that was, at that moment, was playing special teams. And so as a freshman, I started on all 4 special teams.
And then as a sophomore, you're the starting running back, right?
So, as a starting running back, I wanted to be a 1,000-yard rusher. I wanted to be remembered work toward being remembered as one of the greats to come through the university and play at that position. As you know, at Ohio State, we have a great running back lineage. We have
had a few good ones.
And just kind of upholding that lineage and upholding that excellence that we have at the position, and just kind of continuing it and passing it along to the next Buckeye.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things I think that a lot of Cowboy fans really liked and were impressed by was the picture you took with Tony Dorsett last week, right? Was it at the alumni?
Alumni day.
So, there's a lot of young men your age, especially who would not describe themselves as particularly football fans, who could be great football players and not know who Tony Dorsett was. That would be very possible. Did you know who he was before you got here, before you went to the stadium and saw his name up on the wall?
I feel bad saying this,
But don't.
But, I'm not too familiar with Tony Dorsett. I couldn't point him out in the crowd before that day if I had to. And, like I said, I wasn't always the biggest football fan. I definitely
I'm asking because you showed clearly you did some studying, because you in the social media posts that you put out, pictures of you and Tony, you showed some appreciation for who he was and what he did and how you are now linked with him forever. You clearly have been to school on that. Well,
in my time as a Cowboy, which has been short but lovely, I have done my research, and he's one of the great running backs to come to put on that star, and that's something that's important to me is upholding that tradition, that lineage of the great running backs to have put on that star.
So you do know who Emmitt Smith is?
I do.
Yeah, okay, good. Emmitt says, and by the way, for people who don't know, Zeke and Tony are the only running backs the Cowboys have ever drafted in the top 5. So you have that linking you. And Emmitt said when he first walked into Texas Stadium as a rookie, he looked up and saw the names on the wall of the Ring of Honor, and he said, "My name will be up there someday." Is that kind of thing a goal for you?
That is a goal for me, just to go up there and be remembered as one of the great Cowboy players.
Okay. Your lips to God's ears. All right, Larry, let's get where are you? Okay, let's see what some of these fans are thinking, shall we?
Uh-oh.
I think we're doing okay so far. Well, this guy's wearing an Ohio State shirt. He can't be out to hurt you too bad, okay? All right, let's go.
Our first question is from Steve.
Before I ask my question, don't worry about that legacy. You got it, my man.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that championship to Columbus. You mentioned earlier Dad now works for the football program. Just curious, is he like a counselor for the players? Does he help recruit? Or just kind of curious what his role is?
His specific role for Ohio State is he helps in recruiting. I don't know exactly the name of his position, but I know it is in recruiting.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next.
Next question is from Lincoln.
How you doing? I played with Dallas in the 90s.
You did, number 44.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Lincoln
Running back
Coleman.
as well.
Lincoln Coleman from Dallas, Texas.
Our conversations in the locker room were about who we're going to play in the Super Bowl. I wanted to know what type of conversations you guys have today.
Today, especially now, I think our team, we're very excited about the players that we have, the pieces that we have, and we do feel that we have the caliber of players to play in the Super Bowl. But honestly, we're taking it 1 week at a time, So I don't want to go out and make any bold predictions or anything, but we do have the confidence in our players on our roster that we could be a Super Bowl caliber team.
I made kind of a joking reference before to the fact that your coach would tell you to your job right now is to have the best Tuesday you can tomorrow. Have you heard that process thing from him? Okay. So I'm an admitted fan of his, and I believe in his conversation about process. But there's a natural instinct for people to, look ahead. What do you think about the Giants? What do you think about Washington the week after that? Are you looking forward to your first Monday night game and all that kind of thing? Where in your evolution from high school on did you first start hearing about just worry about today?
I would say in high school is when I learned, that's when I started hearing about it. But, having experience winning a championship when we won the national championship for Ohio State, that, it is very a day-to-day thing. It's very much a day-to-day thing. You got to go out there and win every day. You got to go out there and have the best day you have. And, we say it as just stacking good days on good days and good days. We're just building a foundation. It's like winning the championship is like winning the house. You got to start at the foundation. And just the way we won that national championship at Ohio State, it kind of showed me that, you just got to get better every week, because we started the season out as a very unexperienced team. We played a lot of freshmen. We had a lot of redshirt freshmen, guys that just really didn't have much game experience. And if you watch our first game from that season, we were trash. We were very bad. We were not a good football team. And if you compare that team from the first game to that team when we played here for the national championship, they just looked like polar opposites. And that kind of showed me that it's really all about stacking those good days on good days, going out there and winning every week. And or not necessarily winning every week, but getting better every week, because really it's all about being hot at the right time. Honestly, when you roll around now the playoffs and you get in the playoffs, you got to be hot. You want to be playing your best ball, and those teams that are hot at the right time or get hot at the right time are the ones that are going to win that championship.
You brought up playing in the national championship game here. I was sitting in the stands that night, and like a lot of people said, oh yeah, that guy looks pretty good. 15, right? That was your number?
Yep,
number 15. Yeah, that guy looks pretty good. What was your impression of that state? Now, you played in some of the most legendary college stadiums in America, but when you went in there for that game, what was your impression of the place?
Best place I've ever played. Just, space-age facility, that huge jumbotron. Never seen. Obviously, there's nothing like it anywhere.
You don't stand there and watch yourself on there, do you?
No, I don't.
So they had 2 games there, one of which he wasn't playing in. So I'm going to check back with you on that. Okay, Larry.
All right. Next question is from Mikey B.
Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Well, my question goes back to you was talking about the hit earlier in the national championship run. You trucked a ton of guys in the Alabama game. I mean, you pretty much single-handedly won that game for the team, as the Ohio State fan wanted out. The other day, you trucked Cam Chancellor. I mean, what's the best feeling? Was that the best hit or best feeling running somebody over him, or in that national championship run?
I mean, that national championship run was just very spectacular. I mean, it was special and something that will always be dear in my heart. Just the way we did it, the things that we went through that season. You know, losing our best player Braxton Miller before the season even started, and then losing J.T. Barrett in our rivalry game versus the team up north, and then a couple of days after that, hearing that one of our very close and dear teammates passed away from suicide, and just kind of all the experiences that we went through that year, and kind of seeing where it brought us, and finally being there up on that podium as a team, as brothers, as a family, and accomplishing everything that we worked for, everything we worked to. It just kind of made it all worth it, and it just kind of showed how tough we were, how resilient we were, that we weren't going to let anything break us.
If someone woke you up in the middle of February and said, "What state is Detroit in?" would you say that state up north?
No, I would say that state up north. I wouldn't say
you would not. You would not say. There's nothing that anybody could do to get you to say the name of that state. This is an Ohio. This is a man from the Ohio State University. Ezekiel Elliott is our guest on the Cowboys Hour, brought to you by Albertsons, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Papa John's. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. More of your questions for Ezekiel Elliott when we come back on the Cowboys Radio Network. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone, to the Gaylord Texan. It's the Cowboys Hour, our regular Monday night stop, 6 p.m. live. If you're listening on KRLD AM in Dallas-Fort Worth tonight, and I said 6 p.m., and you said, no, it's 7:45. I know. It's because the Rangers played this afternoon on 105.3 The Fan, and we'll sort it all out. But trust me, 6 p.m. Now, next week, we're going to do something that we have had very few, if any, ever opportunities to do. There are two brothers on this Cowboys team. I don't know how many times, I'm researching it, but I don't know how many times the Cowboys have had brothers who played on the team at the same time. But Rod Smith, the Cowboys running back, fullback, special teams ace, and his brother Jalen, the second-round draft choice, the great linebacker from Notre Dame, are going to be here next week. So we hope you'll come out and see Rod and Jalen Smith next week. Speaking of Jalen, before we take some more questions from the audience, how ironic the universe, Ezekiel Elliott's our guest this evening, the universe works in such strange ways. Ohio State plays Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. The horrible picture of Jalen suffering that knee injury, and there's one Ohio State player running over to check on him. One. Who do you think it was? The guy who's going to be his teammate in a few months. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy how things work. Jalen and myself, actually, we've been friends since high school. We played in the Army All-American game together. After our senior years in high school. And so, we actually hung out a lot there. And then actually Rod was
from Ohio State.
My teammate at Ohio State. And so, I've been close with both of them for a while. And actually Rod, he's probably, I would say he's probably the only way I made it through my first freshman camp at Ohio State.
Why?
Well, just because I was going through that first camp as a freshman is tough on a kid, and he was my primary helper getting through that, and him he helped me learn that Ohio State playbook. So I thank him all the time for that.
Now, fans down here don't necessarily spend a lot of time watching Notre Dame, and you had to watch tons of Jalen Smith tape getting ready for that Fiesta Bowl, in addition to knowing him all those years. So tell the people what what they're going to get next year when Jalen's healthy?
Oh, he's a freak athlete. Probably one of the best athletes I've played around, and he's a guy that he's one of those unique players that have that great blend of being a great, spectacular athlete with great speed, but a very powerful and explosive guy. So he's a guy that's very well rounded. He's a guy that you don't really find many weaknesses is. He can run from sideline to sideline with the best of them. So once he gets back healthy, he'll be a force to be reckoned with on that defensive side of the ball.
You talk to him. We get very few opportunities to, when a guy's rehabbing, his schedule is different. Tell people about his attitude. It seems to me, the times I've talked to him, be incredibly positive and optimistic.
Yeah, he's very positive. He's very optimistic. I mean, he loves where he is, obviously, where he's at, but he's definitely ready to get on the field, and I see him every day out there working hard. And so, I mean, once he gets back, he's going to be good.
All right, a couple more questions for Zeke.
All right, it's questions from Gavin.
Hi. Who would you say has been your biggest role model since you've been drafted to now?
My biggest role model, I would say, probably is Marshall Falk. He was my favorite player growing up, and me and him, we actually have the same agent. So, he's a guy that
of course you do.
He's a guy that I was able to, he helped me. He's been very helpful throughout this whole process, throughout the whole draft process, and, just finally getting here, and just a guy that whenever I have any questions, he was a high draft pick. He was drafted number 2 when he came out. So, he's been through everything I'm going through. And so whenever I have any questions, whenever I'm going through anything, that's a guy I can pick up the phone and call and talk to.
Now, I don't spend a lot of time listening to network studio shows. I'm kind of busy too. Marshall doesn't sound to me like he's got any love lost for this franchise. Is that ever transmitted to you? Have you ever heard that? You may have to set him straight, is what I'm trying to say.
I think deep down a little bit he's a Cowboys fan.
No, he's not either. He hates the Cowboys. Come on, Zeke. You may have to say.
I think maybe I could sway him. You know what I mean?
All right. This is what
He'll definitely be at a couple games.
This is what I'm talking about. Okay.
All right, next question is from Will.
What was your favorite moment from high school football?
Nice.
My favorite moment from high school football. Well, I mean, there were a lot of good moments, but I think my favorite one probably would be just my last time playing playing in that blue and gold, and just kind of playing that for that one last time with my boys. We seemed like we did everything we could, but we just didn't end up winning. It was sad, but it was bittersweet at the same time. Just kind of being out there one last time, and just knowing that we gave a good effort, it just didn't happen to be enough.
What was your nickname? Your high school team's nickname?
The Bombers.
The Bombers. Yeah, I thought I saw that on that high school jersey. The Bombers. Okay. All right here.
All right, next question is from Joseph. He's got a good question.
Did you have any pre-game rituals that you did in college that you would do for the Cowboys?
I love that question.
I don't really have too many. I wouldn't say I have many rituals, but I do have a little goofy thing that I do. Whenever I'm putting something on, I always put on my left sock before my right sock, or I put on my left glove before my right glove. I always put my left leg in my pants before my right leg. So I think that's probably the only little weird thing I do before games.
Now, Zeke, if I ask you if you're superstitious, what will you tell me?
No, I don't think I'm very superstitious.
But you put your left sock on before your right sock and your left leg into your pants before your right leg.
I think it's just more about being in a routine. When you go into a game, you want to have nothing on your mind other than going out there and performing your best and going out there and doing what you can to win the game. And I think when you develop a routine as a player, it clears your mind. It gives you nothing to worry about. And so, that's something I'm going to be looking forward to now that I'm here, just finding that perfect routine. So when I go to strap up that, I'm not thinking about anything but going out there and getting a W.
Now, this is going to be a little potpourri of different things. So some guys who have their hands on the ball are very conscious of what the end zone celebration looks like. Now look at that smile. We just lit up Detroit with that smile. That tells me maybe it's crossed your mind. Have you got an end zone dance planned, a touchdown celebration?
I don't have any celebration planned at the moment, but
but it's Monday and the game's not till Sunday, right?
But I'm just more excited the fact that I can finally celebrate now. Because in college you got to be a little bit mindful for what you do because they're quick to flag you.
So you're trying to tell us that you really don't have any idea if you get in the end zone against the New York Giants Sunday. You got no idea what's going to happen after you get in the end zone.
I think it's going to be a little bit spur of a moment thing. I've been thinking about it, but who knows what's going to happen. You never know until it finally happens.
All right. Let's find out a little bit more about Zeke. So you don't watch football because you can't kind of rest and relax. You're analyzing. Are there any sporting events you watch for fun?
I really don't watch much TV. I'm more of a just my schedule's so hectic, by the time I get home I'm tired, so I might turn on a movie or something, but I'm not really into watching much TV or anything.
But you are into your dogs.
I do love my dog.
We got about a minute. You can talk about your dogs, your love of dogs. Where'd that come from? What kind do you like?
Just growing up, I've always had a dog around. Growing up, I had a couple Rottweilers. My dad is into, his new thing is wolf hybrids. And so in college, my dad got a wolf hybrid. He had two when I was growing up. And then once we got to college, we got another one. And his name is Chase. And actually, we named him after the Chase. That's what we called our 2014 National Championship run. And, I love Chase. Chase he actually was my dog, but my sophomore year I broke my wrist, and he's probably like 125, 130 pounds. He's like 95% wolf, and so he was a little bit too wild for me. And my dad really didn't like the idea of me having a big dog and a broken wrist and trying to play a football season. So my dad kind of stole him away from me. But my dad has. Since my dad, he's got a farm, and now he has I think he has 4 wolf hybrids. He said he wants a wolf pack, so that's his thing.
And now,